Welcome to Grace Mitchell's Stories, where every tale reminds us of the power of kindness, truth, and the surprises life brings. If you love stories that inspire, be sure to subscribe, like, and share, because today's story will take you on an emotional journey you'll never forget. It began in a small-town diner, the kind with checkered floors, a squeaky door, and the smell of freshly baked pies floating through the air. Locals gathered there every morning, sipping coffee and swapping stories before heading off to work. For the regulars, it was just another day. But for one waitress, a young woman named Anna Reed, it would become the day her entire world changed. Anna wasn't the type to expect miracles. She worked long shifts, wore tired shoes, and lived in a modest apartment with bills stacked on the counter. But she had a warm smile, quick hands, and a heart that never stopped caring. That morning, she noticed a stranger slip quietly into a corner booth. His clothes were plain, worn even, and he kept his head down as though he wanted to disappear. Anna, balancing a tray of coffee cups, had no idea that serving him a simple bowl of soup would uncover an identity that would leave the whole restaurant in stunned silence. And what happened next? It left everyone with tears in their eyes. The morning rush was in full swing. Anna weaved between tables, refilling coffee mugs and greeting familiar faces. The diner was alive with chatter, farmers discussing crops, mechanics talking shop, mothers corralling children with promises of pancakes. But in the corner booth, the stranger sat alone. He was tall, broad-shouldered, but his posture was slouched, as though carrying an invisible weight. His hands were rough, scarred, the kind of hands that told a story of hard work or battles long endured. Anna approached with her usual cheer. "Morning, sir. Can I get you started with some coffee?" He looked up briefly, and Anna caught a glimpse of his eyes, deep, tired, yet piercing in a way that made her pause. He nodded slightly. "Coffee? Black?" She scribbled it down, but her instinct told her something was different about him. He wasn't just a traveler passing through. There was something hidden beneath the surface. A few minutes later, she returned with his coffee. "Would you like to see a menu?" The man hesitated. His voice was quiet, almost strained. "Just soup? Whatever you have." Anna smiled warmly. "Chicken noodles fresh today, homemade." He gave a small nod. "That'll do." As she walked back to the kitchen, Anna felt an unusual tug at her heart. She couldn't explain it, but there was a heaviness about him that reminded her of someone searching for shelter after a long storm. When she brought the soup, she placed it gently before him. "Careful, it's hot." For a moment, his hand hovered over the spoon but didn't move. Instead, he looked up at Anna. "Thank you," he said softly, his voice thick with something unspoken. Most customers muttered thanks without thought, but his words carried weight like gratitude for more than just soup. Anna nodded, unsure why her throat suddenly felt tight. The diner was small, and strangers were rare. It didn't take long for regulars to notice the quiet man in the corner. Murmurs floated through the air. "Never seen him before?" one mechanic whispered. "Looks like he's been through a war," said another. "Maybe he's hiding from someone," a farmer added with a chuckle. Anna tried to ignore the gossip. She focused on her work, but every time she glanced over, the stranger was still there, slowly eating his soup as though it was the first warm meal he'd had in days. At one point, a group of young men entered, loud and careless. They joked with Anna, teasing her in that familiar, small-town way. But when they noticed the stranger, their tone shifted. "Hey," one of them smirked. "You lost or something?" The stranger said nothing, just lowered his gaze. Anna immediately intervened, her protective instinct flaring. "Leave him alone, Kyle. He's just having his lunch." Kyle raised his hands in mock surrender. "Relax, Anna. Just asking." The group laughed and moved to another booth, but not before casting curious glances back at the corner. Anna felt a surge of irritation. People were too quick to judge by appearances. She'd seen it too many times. Kindness dismissed, pain overlooked, simply because someone didn't look the part. She returned to the stranger's booth. "I'm sorry about that," she said softly. The spoon paused halfway. "You don't need to apologize for them." Anna tilted her head. Still, they had no right. For the first time, a faint smile tugged at his lips. "You're different." Anna blinked. "Different. You see people, not just faces." His gaze locked on hers. "That's rare." Her cheeks warmed, and she quickly looked away, busying herself with refilling his coffee. But inside, something stirred, a strange connection forming with a man she didn't even know. The soup bowl was empty, but the man didn't leave. Hours passed, and Anna noticed him still sitting there, hands clasped, lost in thought. Finally, she approached again. "Would you like anything else?" she asked gently. He hesitated, then said, "Do you have pie?" Anna smiled. Apple, fresh this morning. When she brought the slice, she noticed his hands trembling slightly as he lifted the fork. It was subtle, but unmistakable. Not nerves, but something deeper. Pain, exhaustion, maybe even fear. Sir, she asked carefully, are you all right? For a moment, he said nothing. Then, quietly, he murmured, do you know what it feels like to lose everything you thought you had? Anna froze. The diner noise faded into the background. She sat across from him, forgetting for a moment that she was supposed to be working. I do, actually, she admitted softly. My dad died when I was 16. Mom worked 2 jobs, and I started waitressing just to help with rent. Life, it's been uphill ever since. The man's eyes softened. And yet you smile? You serve strangers with kindness. You still fight. Anna shrugged, tears threatening. What else can we do but fight? He studied her, as though her words unlocked something in him. Then he reached into his coat pocket. He pulled out a folded newspaper clipping. Edges worn. Anna glanced at it, and her heart nearly stopped. It was a photo of him, clean-shaven, dressed in a sharp suit, standing at a podium. The headline read, Multi-millionaire CEO declared missing after plane crash. Her breath caught. This is you. The man nodded slowly. I was on that plane, or I was supposed to be. My life burned to ashes that day, and I let the world believe I was gone. Anna's hand trembled as she held the clipping. Whispers began to ripple through the diner as curious eyes noticed what was happening. You're him, she whispered. James Donovan? The tech giant. But why here? Why now? James Donovan? A name known across the country, a man who built an empire from scratch, who appeared on magazine covers, who mingled with presidents and movie stars. And now he sat in a small-town diner, eating soup like a lost wanderer. By now the entire diner had gone quiet. People leaned in, straining to hear Dot. James looked at Anna, his voice steady but heavy with sorrow. When the plane went down, I was supposed to be on it. But I missed the flight because I was stuck in traffic. Everyone assumed I died, and for a while, I let them, because the truth is, I wanted to disappear. Gasps filled the room. Anna's voice shook. But you had everything. James shook his head. Everything except peace. The money, the fame, the deals, it all cost me my soul. My family drifted from me. My friends became business partners. Every smile had a price tag. And when that plane crashed, I realized maybe it was a chance to escape. Silence hung in the air, broken only by the clink of a fork against a plate somewhere in the back. He looked around the diner at the shocked faces. For 2 years, I've wandered. No boardrooms, no suits, no headlines, just searching. And yet, in this little diner, with a bowl of soup served by a woman who smiled without wanting anything in return, I remembered what it feels like to be human again. Tears stung Anna's eyes. She glanced around. Even the loud group of young men sat frozen. Their arrogance dissolved into awe. James stood, pulling a small leather wallet from his coat. He placed a thick wad of bills on the table for the meal. And for more than that, for kindness I didn't deserve. Anna shook her head. I don't want your money. James met her gaze. Then take my gratitude, because today you gave me more than food. You gave me hope. At that moment, the diner erupted in whispers. Phones came out, photos snapped, but no one moved closer. They were too stunned, too shaken by the truth standing before them. Word spread quickly. By the next day, newspapers reported, CEO found alive in small-town diner. Cameras swarmed, journalists begged for statements. And the quiet diner that once served farmers and locals became a media circus. But Anna remained unchanged. She still tied her apron every morning, brewed the coffee, and smiled at strangers. When reporters asked her what it was like to serve soup to a millionaire in hiding, she simply said, he wasn't a millionaire to me. He was just a man who needed kindness. James eventually returned to his company, but something fundamental had changed. He didn't step back into the role with the same hunger for profit. Instead, he shifted his empire's focus, funding shelters, supporting struggling families, creating programs for small-town businesses like Anna's Diner, and every so often, his sleek car would appear outside that same little diner. He'd walk in, no entourage, no cameras, and sit in the corner booth. Anna would bring him soup just like the first time, and every time he'd say the same words with quiet gratitude. Thank you, Anna.